Into the afternoon programme and the light clubman class, with early season leader Simon Rudd just a spectator at Ellough Park, presumably out of the championship, unwilling to risk his car racing commitment to a karting mishap, and that's fair enough. But it now pits championship leader Jack Harding and nearest rivals Wildman Dave Waters and Mr Consistency Stefan Child into a three-way dice, at least for the near future, for championship supremacy. Dan Milner and Ben Finch, after missing a round each, both lurk outside the top 10 and may yet have a part to play later in the season. After morning qualifying, it's Ben Finch who podiumed at Ellough Park in lightweights last season in pole position for final one, ahead of James Downing, who won that day, and Stefan Child, who finished ahead of him on the podium. Championship leader Jack Harding starts on grid 4. Excellent qualifying by Steve Townsend on grid 5 ahead of Ray Norris. Stephanie Walters and Carl Watt start on row 4. Alex Mitchison and Jed McInnes round out the top 10. Dave Waters has not got off to a good start, qualifying only 16th on a 17-car grid. And it's a bit of a shambolic start there. I think everybody thought they were going to go round for another rolling up lap. Ben Finch has got the whole shot though, ahead of James Downing, Stefan Child, Jack Harding, Steve Townsend in 5th, coming into turn 2, Ray Norris losing out to Stephanie Walters, and now Carl Watt on the exit of turn 3. Alex Mitchison, Jed McInnes, Mitchison down the inside, and a chance for Milner to pick up a spot cheaply off Jed McInnes down into turn 5. Side by side, he's got it done now. On board with Justin Buck in 12th place, looking for a way by now on Jed McInnes down to turn 7 as Waters goes down the inside of Robert Lark. And into 13th place, James Hazelhurst, Liam Nolan, Oliver Goodacre. And here comes Justin Buck late and in deep on Jed McInnes, and he goes through to 11th place. Ray Norris under pressure from Carl Watt. Jed McInnes manages to hold off Dave Waters. Ben Finch's lead is 0.2 of a second. Dan Milner easing his way by Carl Watt, in danger of picking up a penalty for that one. Robert Lark looking down the inside and through on Jed McInnes, who takes a heavy shot from behind from Dave Waters. And that gesture is becoming the default gesture in Club 100 at the moment. Dan Milner ahead of Alex Mitchison, who's now under pressure from Carl Watt. A robust opening from Dan Milner. Oh, side by side, Mitchison and Watt. And Mitchison waves Watt through, and Buck takes the three of them out. On board with McInnes, we've got James Hazelhurst ahead of us. Stephanie Walters has caught up with Steve Townsend in 5th. He's trying to force a way round. Townsend went in very deep on the exit of turn 10 and will be under pressure down to turn 1 from Walters, who's never short of a bit of speed. I saw coming through down the inside into turn 1, and she's got it done. Her next target is Jack Harding in 4th place. She's got her work cut out. They've got a few kart lengths on her already. Let's have a look here. She is about a second down on Jack Harding. Jed McInnes looking for a way past Liam Nolan as Nolan looks for a way past Hazelhurst. Sweeping through turn 5, 6, into 7. Well, it looks as though Justin Buck managed to keep running. It'll all count for nothing as he's going to be excluded from the results for that incident earlier on. Finch, Dowding, Child, gap then to Harding, a bigger gap to Walters, Norris, Steve Townsend, Dan Milner, Dave Waters in 9th, Robert Lark into the top 10. Lap times once again will set the grid for final 2, so keep an eye on that ticker as it goes through. Back on board with Dan Milner. Oh, taken to the inside curb and over the grass to get by Steve Townsend. Moves up to 7th. Gotta say, Dan Milner's been very aggressive in the opening 4 laps. Hope he hasn't picked up a penalty for his trouble. McInnes within a kart length of Liam Nolan, who gets turn 8 wrong, having got turn 7 wrong. And that digit is getting a lot of use here from Jed McInnes. Down the inside, block pass into turn 10. A certain repayment in kind there from McInnes. Dave Waters has caught up with Steve Townsend. Beginning to look like Steve Townsend out-qualified his basic speed. Clean through for Dave Waters. Fairly easy, it has to be said. So Waters moves up to 8th place. And Jack Harding is losing touch with the leading trio. Stephanie Walters is coming across and loosely towing Ray Norris with her. Dowding on the defensive to hold off Charles into turn 9. Back on the racing line for 10. Down the inside, Justin Buck going through. Charles thinking about having a look down the inside into turn 1, but doesn't commit. Townsend now coming under pressure from Hazelhurst for what is now 10th place. Now Jack Harding seems to have got back on it. He's a little bit closer to Stefan Child, who seems to be struggling to hang on to James Dowding. Ben Finch looking comfortable up front. His lead is 0.8 of a second. I saw Townsend under pressure there from James Hazelhurst in turn 8. Trying to stay in the slipstream. Keep that toe down to turn 1. Child trying to hang on to James Dowding within a kart length. He may be hoping that James can tow him back to Ben Finch. Looks as though Ray Norris has had a good lap, has moved a little bit closer to Stephanie Walters. Townsend still holding off Hazelhurst. Trying to stay in touch with Robert Larkin 10th, and Norris now within a kart length as well of Stephanie Walters, looking for a way by. Remember, he lost out to Walters on lap 1 going into turn 2. He'll be looking to repay the debt in kind. Looking at the inside into 10. Walters under pressure, hangs on, and that will invite in Dan Milner and Dave Waters as well. He's dropped Robert Lark. Townsend still under pressure from Hazelhurst, and through to 10th place goes James, but he goes a long way in. And now they have a drag race to turn 2. Will Hazelhurst tip in over the top? Yes, he will. Gave Townsend just a little bit of room at the apex for his own benefit. Finch, Dowding, Child, Harding. This is beginning to look a little bit settled up front here. Walters under pressure from Norris. Milner getting across. Dave Waters not a million miles away as well. Lost a little bit of ground there on the exit of turn 8. Milner missed his apex at turn 9. So everybody pushing as hard as they can. Child now a couple of kart lengths off the bumper of James Dowding. Kart length being about 0.2 of a second, so the advantage is about 0.4 of a second. And Ben Finch's lead is 0.67 of a second. So 3 kart lengths, 3.5 kart lengths. Jack Harding in 4th. The gap from Harding to Stephanie Walters is a 1.5 seconds. She's got her own problems in the shape of Ray Norris. Milner now coming under pressure from Dave Waters as we move into the final quarter of this first final. So Waters has recovered some of the ground he lost in qualifying on Jack Harding. And Harding will extend his championship lead if it stays as it is. Norris looks as though he got too close to Walters going into turn 1 and has put himself under pressure from Dan Milner, and that means Dave Waters, who's sniffing around the rear bumper of Milner in turn 3. Milner taking a very late apex in 4. I'm not sure he wants to be doing that with Dave Waters behind him. Norris once again closes onto Walters' bumper out of 8. Is there a move on down at 9? Not quite there. Ray Norris is running out of laps here. Walters hanging on. Coming round to start lap 11 of 12, 2 laps from the finish. Ben Finch's lead is still 0.83 of a second on James Dowding. It was just a couple of tenths clear now of Stefan Child, so Dowding has lost a little bit of ground over the last few laps. Jack Harding is 2.2 seconds off the lead, and here comes Dave Waters. He had a sniff at turn 3 before. I think he's probably gone a little bit early. It's an easy defence into turn 4 for Milner. Through 5, and look at the ground that Milner's lost on Ray Norris. 6, then on the brakes into 7, can he hang on? Justin Buck is closing in on Steve Townsend. Ray Norris is getting a run now into turn 9 on Stephanie Welders, and here comes Dave Waters down the inside of Dan Milner. He goes in very deep though, and he's waving Dan Milner back through. And I'm not quite sure why, because that looked fairly clean to me. Ben Finch is on to his final lap and is heading to his first victory of the season. If you're wondering why he's got Giorgio written on the back of his race suit, he's not sponsored by Giorgio Armani, but it is the nickname he's been given at his local TK Maxx outlet, where he can always be seen rummaging in the bargain underwear bin. Dave Waters pushing hard at the end of this final. Just over half a lap from the finish. And Dan Milner looks like he's going to hang on. Ray Norris has got a kart length or 2 on Stephanie Walters and looks set for 5th place. Up front, Ben Finch's lead was 0.9 of a second at the line. Dave Waters pressing really hard, but running out of corners. 2 corners from the finish. I think Milner's going to hang on. And Ben Finch, the show pony, is already celebrating before he gets to the line. He wins ahead of James Dowding. Stefan Child and Jack Harding extends his lead in the championship.
Stanley third on the grid to finish in 3rd place. That was driver number 1, Stefan Child. And to our runner-up then, again starting same position, grid 2 to finish a runner-up in final number 1. Congratulations, driver 16, James Dowding. But to our race winner then, started pole, qualified for pole position after the heats and won the race. And I think it's his first win in this class. Well done indeed. Congratulations, driver number 2, Ben Finch.
Was there a big celebration, was there?
David Waters getting fastest lap of the race in final 1 for the Clubman class of 50.93.
Once again, fastest lap time set the grid for final 2, and it's Rye House podium finisher Ray Norris on pole position, ahead of Dave Waters, who not only salvaged 8th place from final 1, but a lap time good enough for 2nd. James Hazelhurst qualifies ahead of final 1 winner Ben Finch on row 2. He has familiar faces in the shape of James Dowding and Stefan Child on the row behind him. Dan Milner and Stephanie Walters start on row 4. Jack Harding has work to do and trouble beside him on row 5. Justin Buck was excluded from the first final, but starts here on grid 10. And here we come through the last bend. Rolling up to the side, and Ray Norris has got the jump on the field. Hazelhurst into 2nd. James Dowding down the inside of Dave Waters for 3rd. Finch getting a run on Waters off the corner. And there's contact in the midfield that Dan Milner is not pleased about. Ben Finch running Waters out wide to take 4th place. And now he'll go narrow into turn 4 to keep the spot. Oliver Goodacre trying to run round the outside of Liam Nolan and Carl Watt, and that doesn't work. We're back on board with Justin Buck. We're looking at Jed McInnes in 9th place as we sweep through turn 6. Down on the brakes into 7. Thread the needle through 8. Then on to 9, and James Dowding is down the inside of James Hazelhurst for 2nd. And this is a chance for Finch and Waters. Waters getting a run on Finch. It's side by side off the corner. The road goes in Finch's favour, and this is a chance for Jack Harding in what is a championship battle with Dave Waters down into turn 1. Harding has got the high ground, and Waters has to yield. Back on board with Justin Buck. He's lost out to Stefan Child. Child having a poor grid position to work from, but is making progress now. Dan Milner taking again to the inside curb and grass to try and find a way through at turn 4. Through 6, on to 7. Hazelhurst under pressure from Finch. And what is the fight for 3rd place? And Finch is down the inside into 9. It's late, but it's clean. A rueful shake of the head from Hazelhurst, now trying to hold off Harding, who's got a better line. Being on the bumper of Finch through turn 10. Liam Nolan forcing Steve Townsend very wide. Not a lot of ground given there. Milner's got ahead of Justin Buck, Mitchison and Carl Watt. Not sure what happened to Buck, but he's lost ground. Watt goes through on Mitchison. Mitchison runs out wide. Townsend pushing through on Liam Nolan. It's get your elbows out this time in like Clubman. Nolan holding off Oliver Goodacre. Ray Norris clear of James Dowding. Ben Finch under pressure from Harding. Hazelhurst holding off the attentions of Dave Waters, but for how long? Narrow down to 9, but perhaps not narrow enough. Waters dives in. It's a good move. He runs out wide, but the road's in his favour into 10. Stephanie Walters also looking for a way by once again. She's going to have to go the long way round down to turn 1 if she wants it, and it's leaving an open goal for Jed McInnes to come down the inside before she can get the door closed. Stefan Chal dives in as well, and there's more contact. A lot of contact in this second final. Great entertainment as always in Club 100 sprints. Well, the race settles down, so let's reset it. Ray Norris leads by half a second from James Dowding. They're pulling clear of Ben Finch, who's nearly 2 seconds down on the lead. Jack Harding on his bumper. Dave Waters in 5th with Hazelhurst, Walters, McInnes, Stefan Child, Dan Milner. Pretty much all in a line. Carl Watt in 11th. Also in the fight here. Gap then to Justin Buck, Alex Mitchison, Robert Lark, Steve Townsend, Oliver Goodacre and Liam Nolan round out the field. As we begin lap 5 of 12, there's a yellow flag being waved. Somebody has been off on the exit of turn 1. I believe it might be Steve Townsend. Yes, it is. Just restarted. Will he get in anyone's way? Well, not in Stefan Charles or Stephanie Walters. Carl Watt trying to get back on the bumper of Dan Milner in their personal dice for 10th place. Stefan Child has been closing on Jed McInnes and looking for a way by for at least a couple of laps now. Oh well, turn 8's been opened by movement of the barrier. So that's not so much quite the tight corner that it was, the chicane on the exit of turn 7. Stefan Child to the inside of Jed McInnes. Side by side. Road in McInnes' favour. And the race is on for the lead. Ray Norris under real pressure now from James Dowding on the run to turn 2. Ray Norris takes a perfect apex into 2. Tidy into 3. And Stefan Child has got his wheels inside. Jed McInnes trying to get through, can't do it. And a chance for Milner on Walters. Over the grass on the inside. That seems to be a trademark move from Dan Milner. Somebody better make mental note of that for next year. Carl Watt and Stephanie Walters side by side, flat out through 5 and 6. And Justin Buck is looking for a way by. And James Dowding continues to press, and he's got to run down the inside into turn 10, and it's a lovely move. And Stefan Child has got ahead of Jed McInnes in turn 10. And Dan Milner's next up, and Stephanie Walters throws one inside as well, and here comes Ray Norris, but from a long way back into turn 1, and in the drag race to 2, James Dowding is coming through, and he is through. James Dowding leads final 2, and he's got a couple of corners now to pull out a gap on Ray Norris. He's already got 2 kart lengths coming off the corner.
Jack Harding looking very
McInnes
smooth.
trying to respond to Stefan Child.
Looking for a way by inside of
apex
3.
into turn 4.
The squeeze is on, there's contact with Finch.
But not the most easily
Finch keeps the
defensible.
spot into 4.
And Child is still under pressure from McInnes. Although Dan Milner is coming across. And Dan Milner now
McInnes
is
may have a preoccupation of his
some
own
very
very
short
shortly.
with Jed McInnes. Trying to find a way by, and Carl Watt is right there as
On
well,
to
just to
lap 8.
complicate matters. And James Dowding's lead is 0.7 of a second.
McInnes
on
is
Ray
tiny
Norris,
through
who's
turn
got a
7
similar
on the
margin
new
on Ben
profile
Finch.
of turn 8.
Jack Harding is
Very
1.6
narrow into
seconds off the
9.
lead. Jed McInnes
It's
very
just a
narrow
matter
into
of
turn
time.
1.
You can feel it's coming.
To make
Dan
him a
Milner
sitting
is gonna
duck
push
into
through.
turn 2.
He's
We've
kept
round
the
to start the
spot.
penultimate
But
lap.
Milner
now is on his bumper. And once again, look how
He's got to
narrow
go narrow
Jed
into
McInnes
4.
is on the defensive. Is the undercut on the exit?
Carl
Watt coming across as
Carl
well.
Watt's
Getting a run on Milner. There's a lot
Down
of
for
overtaking
turn
left
2,
in this
side
final.
by side.
They're
Don't
back
go
in line
anywhere.
into 3. Jack Harding trying to close in
into the
on
game
Ben
with
Finch. Harding having a very quiet day.
Not a million miles away.
Fourth place in final one.
So the
He's
rear
heading for fourth
defence
place in
of
final
Jed
two, which is
McInnes,
great for his
desperately
championship.
hanging on to 8th place is working.
James Dowding coming through ahead of Ray
James
Norris and
Hazelhurst
pulling
is
clear
under pressure from
as we move
Stefan
on to
Child
lap
in the fight
9
for 6th place.
It's nearly 0.9 of a second his advantage over
Walters
Norris.
going to run on Carl Watt. He's conscious
Finch
of
is
that
closing
now.
in.
Jed
And once
McInnes is
again,
getting
Jed
narrower
McInnes had
and
to go
narrower
into
into
turn
turn
1.
Left his braking very
Fastest
late.
lap as they go on
He's
to the
holding
final
off
lap
Dan
for
Milner.
James
Oh,
Dowding.
but he's missed his
heading
apex
for a
into
first win of
two.
the season.
He's got away with it.
So Jed McInnes
And
looking a bit
Stefan
ragged.
Childs picked off James Hazelhurst
in the closing stages
late
of
in
this second final
for 6th
and
place.
Jack Harding
And
is now
Milner's got that
pressing
run.
on Ben Finch.
Can he get it done? He
for
still
third.
can't get it done into turn 2.
Dave Waters
As
in
Hazelhurst got an
fifth.
answer for Child. He
Driving a
hasn't.
lonely race now ahead of James Hazelhurst.
Dan Milner now is
Stefan
beginning to run out
Child,
of
Jed
corners. And
McInnes.
McInnes has got a car
Here,
length or
still
2 on
under
it.
pressure.
Narrow.
I mean, he won't be
Smoking
close
his
enough for
tyres
turn
on the
7.
brakes.
It's going to come down to 9 and
Finch
10.
under pressure from Jack Harding. Takes a look over his shoulder. Tries to sort out his braking for turn 1. Is also looking a bit ragged. Jack Harding looking very smooth. Into turn 2 and looking for a way by inside of 3. The squeeze is on. There's contact with Finch. Finch keeps the spot into 4. And Dan Milner now is beginning to run out of patience with Jed McInnes. Trying to find a way by, and Carl Watt is right there as well, just to complicate matters. Well, McInnes is tidy through turn 7 and the new profile of turn 8. Very narrow into 9. It's just a matter of time. You can feel it's coming. Dan Milner is going to push through. We come round to start the penultimate lap. And once again, look how narrow Jed McInnes is on the defensive. Is the undercut on the exit? Oh, Carl Watt's getting a run on Milner. Down to turn 2, side by side. They're back in line into 3. Stephanie Walters is invited into the game with Justin Buck. Robert Lark's not a million miles away. So the rearguard defence of Jed McInnes, desperately hanging on to 8th place, is working. James Hazelhurst is coming under pressure from Stefan Child in the fight for 6th place. And Walters get a run on Carl Watt. He's conscious of that now. And Jed McInnes is getting narrower and narrower into 9. Fastest lap as they go on to the final lap for James Dowding. He's heading for a first win of the season. And Stefan Childs picked off James Hazelhurst late in this final for 6th place, and Milner's got that run. Can he get it done? He still can't get it done into turn 2. As Hazelhurst got an answer for Child, he hasn't. Dan Milner now is beginning to run out of corners, and McInnes has got a kart length or 2 on him. Well, maybe he won't be close enough for turn 7. It's going to come down to 9 and 10. Carl Watt went deep into 7. Finds himself under pressure from Walters. Out of the last corner, it's a first win of the season for James Dowding, ahead of a season's best for Ray Norris. He moves into the top 5 in the championship. It's another trophy on a great day for Ben Finch in 3rd. Finishing 4th, Jack Harding extends his lead to 12 points over Dave Waters, finishing 5th. Stefan Child finishes 6th, and that means he remains 15 points off the championship lead, heading into Clay Pigeon.
But to our top 3 then, starting on Rd.4, finishing 3rd, 2 trophies today to driver number 2, Ben Finch. And to our runner-up, started on pole position, but was caught around about midway through the race, and but held on to 2nd position. He'll be pleased with this, I'm sure. Runner-up in final number 2, driver number 8, Ray Norris. But to our race winner then, this driver starting on grid number 5, got the fastest lap of the race on the final lap, that was 50.71. He's gone 1 better for final number 2, winning final number 2. Well done, driver number 16, James Dowding. Lots of lovely trophies.